In the previous lecture, I introduced you to ChatGPT. Now, keep in mind there are so many great AI tools available for you, and we will see eventually that how Cursor and as well as GitHub Copilot, they are integrated into the environment and you can make it work. But you can still use ChatGPT. I mean, you will have to copy paste the code from ChatGPT into your Xcode, as we have seen in the previous lecture, but you can still, utilize the same power from other tools in ChatGPT also. Now, what I want to do is to create like a really simple app, a tip calculator. All right. But here's the thing. When we're going to create a tip calculator, I want to create it a certain way. I would like to have a tip calculator with obviously some sort of a text box where a person can enter the amount, let's say $100. And then it will have some sort of a slider control, and this will be like 10% tip or 15% tip or 20% tip and so on. And whenever you change the slider, there should be a smiley face that will change based on the more tip that you're giving. So if it's like a less tip, if it's 10% or 15%, it will be like sad face. If it's 20% or more than 20, it will be happy face and so on. And then obviously we will show the tip amount. So over here, tip amount. All right. So this is the kind of like an interface that we want to build. Now, this application is not really hard to write. You can write it yourself if you have done iOS development, that's fine. But since this course is about how you can use AI tools to write the code, then how can we use ChatGPT to make it better or to write the app? So I have ChatGPT open over here. What will be my prompt? Well, let's go ahead and start. Write a SwiftUI tip calculator app. The app will have a text field for total amount, a slider for starting from 10% tip to 100% tip. And you can already see that I don't really care that much about the grammar itself. I'm just trying to express what I want to do. And because in the end, what happens is that when it's processing these things, there are something called stop words. So stop words like the, all of these things, they don't really mean anything. So it's going to be removed anyways. So a slider from 10% to tip to 100%, if the slider value is below, let's say 20%, then, or I can actually say slider moves by incrementing 5%. If the slider value is below 20%, then show a sad face emoji, else show a happy face emoji. Also add a label to display the tip amount and the total amount. I know it's kind of like total amount with tips. Wow. Well, that's a handful, right? So let's go ahead and see what ChatGPT come up with. All right, so it's writing something. It's calling it tip calculator view. Okay. And one of the other things that you will have to understand is that blindly just copying the code, that's not really going to do any good. All right. You have to understand the code also. So let's see what's going on over here. I think the easiest way would be to just, run it. Actually, one other thing, because I'm lazy, I want to tell it to don't call it tip calculator view. Let's just call it content view because that's what we have right now. Rename this to content view. All right, there we go. So it's going to write the same. I know that I should have just done it myself, but you can actually ask these prompts and it can do it for you. All right. Okay, I think that's fine. You can already see over here, it's using the preview provider instead of the preview macro. So we can actually kind of like ignore that part and just copy this stuff, the one that we need. There we go. Now I can go over here and replace all of my content view and just save it. Let's see what it does. Okay, that actually looks pretty good. All right. And let's go ahead and add something over here, 100. So total tip right now, 10% is 110. Okay, if I go, it actually works pretty good, right? 15, even 15%, it's not happy, right? 20% is happy. So there we go. I mean, that's the whole app. That's actually the app that we wanted to build. And we were able to build this in like few seconds. Now let's see what is going on. All right. So tip is 60%. Now you can actually go refactor the code. So this is also fine. Tip less than 20%. Okay. You can already see over here, right? It's saying tip amount. Tip amount is fine. And then tip amount, and then it's saying this one, the dollar sign, which is basically, it means that no matter where I am in the world, it will always show me as dollar. So maybe we can do something about that, right? Maybe we can actually fix this part. So this is going to be up to you, that how do you fix these problems? We can definitely ask for help from ChatGPT. So if I copy this tip amount and I can go back to my prompt and I can say, how can I make use of currency format and base it on locale? All right, let's see if it understands that. Again, it's writing the whole code, which is kind of annoying. I mean, maybe it could have just fixed that part. All right, let's see. Okay, so it's giving us something over here, locale or US dollar. That is actually good. We can try this out actually, just that code that we needed. So I can just copy, not that, but this whole thing. I can copy this amount. And we can select it again and Control I, just so that we can make sure it's looking nice. And let's go ahead and test it out. So I'm going to say 100, and now it's telling you that it is US dollar. I can actually make it, and make the tip a little bit more, and it looks pretty good. All right. Now I wonder how it will look like if it's for, let's say, Spanish. Like, can I make a preview over here and see the locale for Spanish? How can I make a preview that will show me currency in Spanish? Let's see. Okay, so it's probably going to use the preview provider, which is kind of like the old way of doing things. We are using macros now, but I guess it doesn't have that information. So in order to make the locale to be different, like locale to be Spanish, you have to pass in ES and then ES. All right, so we can definitely try this out. I'm not sure if it's going to actually change that part, but it is going to change the locale, but we can definitely check it out. So if I go over here and say preview and just add that part. All right, let's go ahead and check out the other one. This is the Spanish one, but you can still see, well, it's not even working. I guess we didn't really have anything. All right. So it's still saying US over here. I think this part you will have to change it, I think, somewhere else also to make this work, right? So I guess I'm not sure how we can do that just by looking at it. if we even pass it over here, I think you do need to get that from over here. See? So like in the content view, you need to get access to the locale through the environment. I think it's called locale, and we can say private var locale. And then maybe we can use it somewhere. So I wonder if we can just use it like locale dot something currency or locale dot current maybe. Okay, it says currency dot identify maybe. All right. Let's see if that does something. Okay, we are using Spanish. There we go. It changed the symbol. All right. So that's how it will work. I mean, if you want to check out like different things, so that is how at least you're passing it and all that stuff. All right. But if you're running it on an actual phone where the locale is already set, then you can simply use the approach that we just did. It is going to pull the correct locale identifier from locale.whatever over here. All right. So this is pretty cool. I mean, we were able to create all of that stuff just by asking ChatGPT. Now, in the next lecture, I want to cover a little bit about how we can make our design a little bit better. Can we ask ChatGPT to even make our UI much better? So we're going to cover that in the next lecture.